Hello, so my background is software engineering, and we engineers are very shy in nature. We like to see problems in the world and we solve them. I'm not as eloquent as Brock Pierce, who has an acting career when he was only a kid. But I come from a very small and humble country. It's called Andorra. It's between France and Europe. Only 30,000 Andorran citizens. Probably the only one you will hear here. And my country is not very well known, and nor was blockchain when I started it there. And before starting blockchain, I studied in Toulouse, software engineering, and then I went to work in aeronautics with the A380 of Airbus. And then I went to the European Space Center, where I was a rocket scientist with the Ariane 5 space rocket. And once all that was fixed, I saw a bigger problem in the world that needed to be fixed, and that was money. And Bitcoin got me really excited, because Bitcoin can solve maybe the problem of money or value, the blockchain. Okay, so I wanted to do a Bitcoin exchange in Andorra for Bitcoin to Euro, but my friend from high school that we had been together since 8 years old, he was in Wall Street in Goldman Sachs, and he was contacted by this very, very small company with only a few developers, that was Ripple, and they asked us to do market making. So together with the financial and the technology, we created this fintech company that is called GSR, which is one of the leading market makers. And that was fixed. After market making, I thought, wow, the blockchain has brought us so many things, and I'm going to start this incubator that is called Yellow. So I'll talk to you about the engine, the combustion engine. And when I ask who is the creator of the combustion engine, nobody knows. And it's actually this very unknown Samuel Brown in 1826, an Englishman, that changed the steam engine and he put it on a carriage, and he created the first combustion engine. But it wasn't until 80 years later that we got mass adoption. So it really took 80 years to get from, this is of course Henry Ford, who put it in a car and gave us mass adoption of this engine. And people, when it was invented, they just wanted faster horses. They didn't want to be sitting beside something smelly and noisy and explosive and dangerous. Okay. So in 2008, this great Korean Satoshi Nakamoto, or Japanese, I'm not sure. So he gave us this other great invention, and that is the blockchain. And the blockchain can really change the way we live. But today, it's not 4.0, it's 0.4. Blockchain is explosive and dangerous, and we don't want to be anywhere near it. And that's why banks and other institutions are so worried. It's a new technology that we see it will be useful in the future, but today we're very worried. Okay. And disruptions have always brought this psychological effect of grief. This is, of course, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. So banks, when Bitcoin came around 2008, 2010, they were saying, stay away from the fake money. This money is only to buy drugs. And then they got angry and they started lobbying governments to make it illegal or put very difficult laws in order to really put some friction. But now we're in the bargaining phase, and banks and governments are still listening to their people, and people want easy transfer of value. And some banks are already in the acceptance phase. Many banks have invested into Bitcoin companies, and Ripple has created this consortium. I think it has 150 banks using the technology. Okay. one of the things I'm going to talk about is why it doesn't really matter. We just have to adopt the standard, and some countries will maybe have their own blockchains as a standard, like in Korea you're developing Icon. I'm also a blockchain agnostic. I don't think one blockchain fits all. And you have the Bitcoin maximalists, and they say Bitcoin is the safest, it's the best. And you have the bankers, and they say go with Ripple because it's faster. And you have the Ethereum geeks like myself. So my partner was a banker, and I was really trying to convince him to go into Ethereum. And he was saying, well, what is this? This is never going to work. But luckily, I just took some money from the company, and we got in at 27 cents. So it did work after all. But convincing bankers has always been difficult. So I'll talk to you about how crypto is today and how this relates to your province. So crypto today is a very small market. Between 6 and 20 billion only of real money has gone in, net real money has gone into the crypto ecosystem. And most of the market cap of 200 billion is actually fueled by profits from Bitcoin or Ethereum that have been re-injected. But real money, Tether, who was founded by Rock Pierce, is only $2 billion. It's not a big sum of money held in the biggest custodial in the internet. Okay, so we have bigger markets like gaming. In-game digital assets last year was 110 billion, and out of those 110 billion, at least 40 billion were in tradable digital assets. So in-game digital assets, and this year it will be 50 billion. And loyalty points. You have a very famous loyalty points system here in Korea, and in the Gyungbuk province, we want to also implement momentum. This is a common ecosystem for all small retailers, big retailers, in order to create tradable loyalty points. So I can buy a coffee in Starbucks and trade it for an upgrade in Korean Airlines. This is the idea behind this. This is only possible if everybody trusts each other. And because people don't trust each other, they will trust the trust protocol, which is blockchain. So by trusting the blockchain, we can create loyalty systems between companies that don't necessarily trust each other. Next one. Sorry, next. The next one is the real big use case for blockchain. Stop. So the real big use case for blockchain is security token offerings. If the loyalty points ecosystem is 200 billion, securities today traded in the world are 70 trillion. And of those, so securities is a 70 trillion market today in tradable assets in the publicly traded companies. In Korea, you have 3.6 million companies, and about 4,000 big, only 4,000 of those are big. All the rest are small and medium companies. In Gyungbuk, you have 220,000 companies that don't have access to this public financing. What makes an asset value is liquidity, and all these small companies, they don't have the benefits of this extra valuation you get from being tradable. Security token offerings offers the small and medium companies this access to public liquidity. So once, if you implement this in Korea, or if you implement this in your province, it will add more value. It will bring more external money. It's a very easy way to get external investment in your province, just by making the things tradable. And the blockchain is all about all the different sectors. You have automotive. Hyundai is working on implementing the blockchain so that we can securely get telemetry from our cars. In banking, of course. And charity, when we give money, we can see where it's going. Or in the governments. some governments are implementing transparency, so we will hopefully be able to see how our money is spent. So, traditionally, our society, we have trusted third parties like banks or notaries to control our transactions. And the government, the executive government, has been there to make sure the rules followed by the parliament are being followed. Okay? But with blockchain, we now have a technology where the government can delegate part of this trust into blockchain. And this makes things like supervising 3 million entities possible, because once we don't need to supervise them directly, and we can give this supervision to computers, we can scale. And we can supervise 3 million publicly traded companies in Korea. Yep. And the technology has traditionally brought us near, but it has also distanced us. It's very difficult to talk to my children. They're always on their mobile phone talking to somebody else in India. So even though it brings countries together, it's distanced the people that are near us. But blockchain, on the other hand, it's the protocol of trust. And by building a protocol of trust, it will bring people together, because really our world is made on transactions. And this is what I'm doing now. In Chiang Mai, I'm building my first incubator, which is yellow. And this is a blockchain hub. And I'd like to apply the same model to your province. So when Bangkok said they were doing my blockchain hub, they offered me a two stories, 19 and 18 in Bangkok. So this will be yellow number 2. And this is a very good investment for any government. They are giving it to me for free, and this is about capacity for 200 to 400 people. But this is 200 to 400 people that will be getting investment, that will be getting job creation, bringing money to outside from Thailand. So before I have even finished the first one that is due today, I'm already like starting on the second one.
Great. Good job.